In the interview, he speaks of a condition that he's had since birth called haemophilia, where clotting in the blood fails to work. He learnt to use magic to attempt to heal this disorder, then during the mid-80s contracted the HIV virus. Eventually, he used the ritual for protection in order to father a child. The child was born HIV negative, despite the fact that his father was HIV positive. Magic always leaves its signature, and in this instance, there was no exception. The child was born at 11:11 p.m. This is just one example, but the point I'm trying to convey here is that in the context of magic and the use of spells, amazing synchronicities are commonplace. This, I feel, is the real reason for the 9/11 synchronicities. As far as the 9/11 ritual's effect on our consciousness goes, we can look to experiments that have been conducted to confirm all this. A random number generator, often abbreviated as a RNG, is a computational or physical device designed to generate a sequence of numbers or symbols that lack any pattern. A growing number of government-run lotteries use RNGs instead of more traditional drawing methods. At Princeton University, a study is being conducted called the Human Consciousness Project. The experiment started out as an attempt to see if human thought could affect the outcome of randomly generated numbers, and it was discovered that it could. Data is collected continuously from a global network of RNGs located in 65 host sites around the world. The archive contains over 10 years of random data in parallel sequences of synchronized 200-bit trials every second. On 9/11, the RNGs produced perhaps their greatest enigma yet. The RNGs began producing non-random numbers. Not only did they register the attacks as they actually happened, but the characteristic shift in the pattern of numbers had began 4 hours before the attacks on the Twin Towers. The RNGs produced similar results just before the deaths of Princess Diana, which was another ritual murder, and the tsunami. However, this phenomenon doesn't stop here. Exactly 1 year to the day after 9/11, on the 2002 anniversary of the attacks, the New York lottery results drawn by random number generator were 9/11. So, what exactly can we as individuals do in light of all this? What possible solutions are there, and how can we solve this giant problem we seem to have? Well, the way I see it, it comes down to embodying the characteristics of love, compassion and enlightenment. Whatever name you want to attribute to it, Tara, Christ consciousness, Dharma, that's your prerogative. Free will is the key that you can unlock the door to whatever side you choose, and you can't be forced to choose either. Now, it's important to understand that when I say Christ consciousness or Tara, that you don't mistake that for what the New Agers are pushing. What the New Age movement calls Christ consciousness is, in reality, its polar opposite. Real Christ consciousness is not something that you have to strive to be, it is something that you already are. Christ consciousness is a balance within the human spirit between both male and female energy, perfect harmony between the two. Antichrist consciousness is a balance as well, but I'll explain that after this clip from on religion, which you can find on the YouTube channel Triplexity. The film's well worth checking out, as well as YouTube channel Jonathan Lives, where you'll find more from this man speaking throughout the following clip, so I highly recommend it.
Basically, Satan plagiarizes the Spirit. To recruit, to entice, to seduce, it plagiarizes the Spirit, the Creator. It could very well be that Christianity and a lot of these religions were designed, their very purpose, thinking this many moves ahead, designed to fail. How? Why? Well, if they steal the teachings of Christ and then create this Jesus deity, this Trinity, which isn't what it was, then point their fingers at themselves like they always do, expose the Babylonian symbolism, the satanic symbolism of the religions they created. They could do that in hopes to make you abandon all Christ's teachings as well, do you see? If you don't know that they stole those teachings, then you'll think that they created those teachings. They expose the deity as symbolism, and then everybody will have their big sigh of relief. Oh, we don't have to be good. We don't have to follow any of that. You see, the ultimate last-ditch attempt to discredit Christ. Why? That opens the door for the New World religion of sorcery, or Satanism, for the utopia. It has to be that because there's no way these people doing what they're doing could have given the metaphors that Christ gave. They stole his teachings to draw people into both Christianity and Satanism. Then they're going to point the finger at the symbolism of Christianity and other religions so that people release all of the teachings of Christ, thinking it was a fraud, for the final entrapment. It's very important that you stay balanced, because regardless of what's happening in this reality, you have got to stay you. The primary foundation of what you are is love, and that's what they don't want you to know. And the easiest way to do that is to come in the name of love and slowly tear you away from it, redefine it, to ensnare you in the web. Or I love this one, the spirituality of love in the form of dissociation, bliss.
Don't talk to me so firmly, you're putting me on a negative vibration.
Satan coordinates this bullshit New Age movement to get people to dissociate. It's no different than getting drunk. It's detachment from your normal instinct to try to help everybody in this realm. You become concerned with your own bliss. Therefore, you don't speak out against it unless you're speaking out to get other people to detach. Your detachment as you walk in the woods and think that you've accomplished something, and you think your whole world is of your negative ego, that isn't stopping a little child from being raped today. Your detachment. Part of your responsibility is to get the word out. So Satan knows that. It's very, very clever. And a total defense against that is getting you to hate Satan. Satan loves that. Why would Satan love that? Because you're giving it energy, and hate is not of your true nature. Therefore, if it gets you doing that, then you give it energy. So if you hate this consciousness, call it names and curse it, it has you. It's got you. Know thyself and be thyself. Do not be where you are. Be what you are, regardless of where you are. And the only way you'll know what you are is reconnecting to what you are. Which means you're going to have to dismantle the ego somewhat. Not the mind, just the ego. When you connect to the creative spirit, now, you know, it's so difficult to be precise on this, because I don't want people seeking something outside of themselves. The way the creative spirit will interface with you will be with your spirit, which is it, a derivative of it. And then it will rise from within to command your mind. It will never speak directly to your ego. And people say, well, yeah, but the way you talk about it, it's like a conversation. No, that's my translation for you of understanding. It is my spirit that is teaching me. Do you understand that? And it gets the influence from something larger.
The fact is, this New World religion is said to be a completely Luciferian-based worldwide cult. The foundations for this religion have already been set. Just like in the Christian religion, the basis is that a man died in order to pave the way for us to achieve so-called Christ consciousness, died for our sins, which is the equivalent of biting the forbidden fruit to get back into Eden. On 9/11, the elite took a bite out of the Big Apple. They brought forth the sun, or Horus, so 175, giving us 13, and they murdered thousands of people, who I have no doubt are intended as sacrifices for our so-called sins. Just like Jesus in the Christian religion, except for one not exactly minor difference. The Eden, or heaven, the Jesus figure represents is of a good nature, so oneness with Christ consciousness, which, like I said earlier, we already are. Whereas the Eden the Luciferians seek to plunge us into is the exact polar opposite of this, and it represents evil, so oneness with Lucifer. As always, evil disguises itself as its antithesis, which is love. Love under Will 93. Once again, to get past this deception, we're going to need a very strong understanding on what love is really all about.